Previously, I'm the VP of Business Development at SlideShare, which you could describe as a social content network. Previous to this, I started a company called SocialText, which was the first enterprise software company, or social software company. And then with SlideShare, we actually had some pretty interesting news the other week where we were acquired by LinkedIn. So now it's going to remain the same, SlideShare, the site that everybody knows and loves, but we're just going to be working out different points of integration over time, kind of remaining as an independent site, independent business unit. So for a lot of things aren't going to change immediately for people. Essentially what I'm doing with SlideShare is I help foster relationships with different companies like LinkedIn or Google or others to help get a better distribution of your content across the social web. But the other thing is working with large organizations to help build out branded channels on SlideShare as well, as a mechanism for them to do content marketing. Maybe to describe what the heck social content marketing is, what I like about it is it's kind of the old world of marketing is all centered around documents, right? Tons of Marcom, tons of collateral being generated, especially for people who are doing B2B marketing. And that really, besides SlideShare, really hasn't had a way to interface with the way that people are actually determining purchases, being influenced, and engaging with different companies today. And that's largely, through social objects on the social web, right? Some kind of object for conversation that somebody shares, and that becomes a point of engagement and conversation. When you're talking about content on SlideShare, which is both presentations, documents, and videos, it's a method in which you can leverage visual communication, and 60% of people prefer to learn visually. So you can communicate in a much richer fashion that is actually more engaging. And then optionally, that can be a way in which somebody could become a sales lead, could become a connection. And so essentially what you're doing is leveraging content as a way of gaining engagement across the social web. Well, first of all, one of the things you can do is start with your conference presentations, right? And what's interesting, and posting those up on SlideShare. And what's really interesting about that is when somebody creates a presentation, actually a lot of thought goes into it, right? You have to step up, present yourself, really hone in on a point of view. And so it ends up being a really kind of focused communication that's kind of rich and engaging. A lot of people don't know necessarily that you can not just post up slides on SlideShare, but if you have an audio recording of the session, if you want to share greater context, you can create what's called a slide cast and even time the movement of the slides as you're sharing it. But that's just at kind of the core, the most common use case for SlideShare. The basic thing is, whether for social content marketing, it doesn't necessarily have to be on SlideShare. It's all about getting accustomed, let's say if you're just an individual trying to build a professional brand, recognizing the value of having your own authorship, whether it be in a blog or whether it be in a presentation, and putting, kind of hanging out a shingle, taking a point of view and trying to leverage your own method of thought leadership, just doing it through content and making yourself available for contact. Let me focus it a little bit on B2B marketing, right? And so traditionally, if I'm working for, let's say, a company that's selling software and I need to generate sales leads for my sales team, one of the primary mechanisms of that is I would develop white papers, right? Develop long-form pieces of content. But then in order for me to be able to leverage that as a content asset, the most traditional approach is you go to a media company that's running a website, have them throw a whole bunch of ads, a lot of impressions on the landing page. And that landing page would be a form and a description of the content. The content itself would be something that, well, you have to give up your contact information to get. And in doing so, you're paying a lot to the media company. You're really, the actual conversion rates you're going to get relative to the impressions that they have to drive through ads is going to be fundamentally really low. And what you're doing is you're not getting somebody who's necessarily in a buying state, somebody who's really looking. It's not really an organic lead, right? So you contrast that with social content marketing. All the leads are very organic. You're getting attention from search, and everybody knows about the basic intention of that. But then also social distribution, the way that people are sharing content. If you can make your content available in a shareable form, then it's going to find its own way to people who are of interest and let them nurture themselves into a lead, right? The other thing that we've taken as an interesting option is You can generate leads through the SlideShare player if you're a pro user. And you can choose to put the form before, during, or after a presentation document or video. And what we thought at first was a lot of people would do that kind of traditional form gating. And what actually has happened is that doesn't really work as well, right? Especially because we're set up for more organic distribution. So in the vast majority, like 90% of the content that pro users are generating leads through, they actually put the form at the end of the content saying, hey, go ahead and read this, consume it. And if you're really interested in contact, if you want to really learn more, then fill in this form, right? Then engage directly in a more traditional manner.